Hello everyone, my name is Ali, and this video is for those who are learning Japanese or who want to learn Japanese in the future. And I really hope this video helps you learn Japanese better and faster. In this video, I will compare and contrast some of the morphological and syntactic features of English and Japanese. Here's the agenda. There are 5 sections to my presentation. And first, I will give you a brief introduction to differences between English and Japanese. And next, I'll talk about morphological similarities and differences between English and Japanese. And syntactic differences between English and Japanese as well. And lastly, there will be an activity, so I hope you join that. And in the end, I will talk about the summary of this video. Alright? First, I will give you a brief introduction to differences between English and Japanese. Here's a diagram. It shows an indication of how long a native English speaker would need to reach proficiency in a number of different languages. There are 5 categories ranked from easiest to the hardest and classified by different colors. As you can see, Japanese is colored with dark red, which means the hardest language to reach proficiency for native English speakers. So, what makes it hard for native English speakers to learn Japanese? Well, as you can see, there are many obvious linguistic differences. And first thing is characters and letters. We use alphabet for English, but for Japanese, we use hiragana, katakana, and kanji. Another thing is grammar. This is probably the biggest difference and makes it harder for both Japanese and native English speakers to learn either Japanese or English. And I will talk about syntactic difference more in depth later. Right. Another thing is culture. Cultural difference can influence the variety of expression of or word. For example, sister. In English, we call them sister no matter if she's younger or older. But in Japan, we have ane, which means older sister, and imoto, which means younger sister. So it's separated. There's a strong hierarchy relationship in Japan, and we value on age. So we sometimes have vocabularies that English speakers don't have. And next difference is language family. It is obvious that English and Japanese are from different backgrounds, but Japanese language hasn't been completely explained yet. And lastly, one of the biggest differences is vowels and pronunciation. If you're already learning Japanese, you might already have noticed, but there are more vowels in English than in Japanese. Also, we don't have these sounds such as F, V, TH sounds, th sounds in Japanese. So there are so many differences and it sounds like nothing is the same between English and Japanese. From next section, we'll explore English and Japanese from morphological and syntactic point of view. Alright. Now I will talk about morphological similarities and differences between English and Japanese. But first thing first, what is morphology? Do you know that? Morphology is the study of internal structure of words and how morphemes are combined. Okay, so what's morpheme? Morpheme is a smallest unit in a language that has meaning. Here's an example. Morphology in English and Japanese. The word morphology can be separated into morph, o, log, and y. Morph means formal structure, and o is a connector vowel, and log means speech or word or reason, and y is just a suffix. In Japanese, morphology is keitairon, which is consisted of kanji, and this can be separated into 3 parts. Kei means shape or form, and tai means attitude or condition, appearance, and ron means theory or argument. As you can see, kanji plays a role as free morpheme, which can be used independently. At the right side bottom of the screen, it is morphology written in hiragana and katakana, and we could separate them into 6 characters. However, hiragana and katakana itself has no meaning, so we can't count them as morphemes. Okay, let's go on to the next. Next thing I will talk about is affixes. There are prefix and suffix in affixes. And prefix is placed before the stem of a word, and suffix is placed after the stem of a word. And there are some similarities in affixes between English and Japanese, so I will show you. Here are some example words. Please look at the prefixes first. When we place prefix to these words, the meaning of these words can be changed. By adding prefix such as in, an, anti can have the word's negative meaning. Similarly, in Japanese, when we place mi, mu, han before these words, they can have negative meanings as well. And now please look at suffixes. Here are adjectives kind, weak, tough, and yasashii, yowai, and shibutoi. And when we place these suffixes, nes in English and sa in Japanese, they can be nouns. In Japanese, most adjectives end with I sound, so I sound. So if you want to change adjectives into nouns, you just need to delete I and add sa instead of it. Okay, now I'll talk about inflectional suffixes. Here's a base form, hashiru, which means to run. And when you add causative inflection, raseru, after hashi, it means to force to run. And reru is passive inflection. So when you say hashirasareru, it means to be forced to run. And tai is tail auxiliary, and when you say hashirasaretai, it means to want to be forced to run. And kunai is negative auxiliary. It's very hard to pronounce for me. Auxiliary in this sentence means to not want to be forced to run. And finally, 走らされたくなかった means did not want to be forced to run. So as you can recognize from the graph, inflectional word endings in Japanese usually end with hiragana. Also, Japanese are more inflected than English. This is a feature of agglutinative language, which allow inflection to happen multiple times within a word by adding affixes rather than changing the word order like English. And English is classified as fusional language. Okay, let's go on to the next. I will talk about syntactic differences between English and Japanese. And first, what is syntax? Syntax is the study of grammatical relation between words and other units within the sentence. As you know, in English, there are only 5 grammar structures, and this rule can't be broken. These are SV, SVO, SVC, and SVOO, and SVOC. On contrast, Japanese has a flexible grammar structure. There's no strict rule of the order of subject, object, complement, and verb usually come in the end of the sentences. Sometimes subjects and verbs can be skipped. And here's an example sentence. The teacher passed out the grade to the students after the class. In Japanese, it can be 先生は授業の後で生徒に成績を出した. As you can see, you can't change the order of English sentence, but you can do that in Japanese sentence, and it is still clearly understandable. Then, why Japanese grammar is so flexible? The key is these particles above the pink underline. Now I will talk about Japanese particles. There are 188 particles in Japanese, and each particle indicates the relation of words within a sentence. There are exceptions, but English basically does not have modal particle. First thing, wa, it indicates the topic of the sentence, and no, it indicates the position or location, and de indicates the location or occasion of an action, and ni indicates a person who gives something or who provides service, and o indicates the direct object of a verb. Having these particles, Japanese sentence can be flexible and understandable even if we change the word order. Okay, from now on, we will do some activities, so if you need, you can stop the video and think about the answer. Okay, the first quiz is about prefix. I'd like to think about which part of kanji is prefix and what meanings prefixes have. Okay, you can stop the video here and let's think about the answer. Alright, here's the answer. Sai, its meaning is most in English and can be combined with a multitude of other words. And the right side, ma, it intensifies the meaning of the following word. And you can see tiny hiragana, which is tu, tsu, and it's just a sound. So when you want to read these words, it's not maka, mashiro, it's maka, mashiro. Next quiz is about particles. Here's an example sentence. I had a coffee with my friends before I came to uni. Underneath this sentence, there's a Japanese sentence of it, but particles are missing. So there should be 5 particles in this sentence, and I'd like you to identify which particles come to which blank. So there should be 6 particles in the Japanese sentence, and I'd like you to identify which particles come to which blank. The first one is o. It indicates the direct object of a verb. And next, ga indicates the subject of a sentence. And next, to, it's used to connect and list up multiple items. And wa, number 4, wa, it indicates the topic of a sentence. And ni indicates a location. And another ni, it indicates a specific point of time. Okay, let's think about this. And you can stop the video here and just think. Okay, here's the answer to that quiz. First, it goes watashi wa, number 4, that indicates the topic of a sentence. And nonda, that means had. And a coffee, kohi wo, number 1, wo. It indicates the direct object of a verb. And tomodachi to, that means with my friends. And to means a to is used to connect and list up multiple items. And mae ni, it means before. It indicates a specific point of time. And watashi ga, it means I. It indicates the subject of a sentence. And lastly, daigaku ni. Ni indicates, ni here indicates a location. So, like for example, if there's no ni, if it's just daigaku, it means uni. But to uni, it goes daigaku ni. It's like that. But if you want to read 私は飲んだコーヒーを友達と前に私が来る大学に It doesn't make sense, but for some Japanese maybe it does make sense, but it normally goes like 私は大学に来る前にコーヒーを 友達と飲んだ。But this sentence can be in different order. Okay, let's finish up the activities. And here's a summary to this video. English and Japanese are linguistically distinct languages, and there are morphological similarities between English and Japanese, such as prefixes and suffixes. And English is a fusion language, and Japanese is a agglutinative language. And there's obvious grammar structure difference between English and Japanese. And English does not have modal particles, but Japanese does. Right. Learning Japanese might look difficult for English speakers. However, knowing these differences and similarities can make it easier to learn Japanese, I hope. Okay, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. See you guys in the next video. Bye!